Konini, youngest Somtongo Nkundla MP candidate, ready for the challenge.
Kutemidlalo, Eswatini Daily News. Cristiano Ronaldo wins his first title at Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia. A great day for Cristiano Ronaldo fans and the Saudi League, because it's great PR. Cristiano Ronaldo has secured a title with his team Al Nassr. Under 20 dominates Lesotho in friendlies. In another leading headline, kutemidlalo Eswatini Daily News. Kanzi-ke lenye lihamba embili, it's a team's OPLE 1.8 million emalangeni. Financial report delivered during Sunday's annual general meeting, which reflects that Mbabane Swallows owes the most with 124,000 in loans and fines. Okay, my headlines Eswatini Daily News namhla.
Asikala mhlanje kumsombuluko nje mtakhumbula ukuthi evikini eliphelile eParliamente ibambisene nelinhlangothi ezihlukahlukene imemetela ukuthi iyakha imanual yamalungu eParliamente lamasha ebheke ukuthi angene kulomnyakalo osedlula. Kumleke ukuthi iParliamente eSwatini esecalile kwakha yena lobhukana uhloso ukufundisa amalungu eParliamente ngetingone edahlukene lekumele atade asachuba umsebenzi wawo khona eParliamente. iParliamente kwenda lokhu ngekubambisana netinhlangothi letehlukahlukene kufaka ekhathi ofisi laka AG kanye nelhovisi laka Human Rights. Lokhu ke konke kanje njengoba kubhekekile ukuthi kungene emalungu eParliamente lamasha kulomnyaka kulandzela ukuthi ingonyama icithe eParliamente lenza lamhla ka 11 July kulomnyaka losedulu. Sibhekile ukukhulumisana na Clerk to Parliament Benedict Xaba lomhla ekseni nga 6:30 kuva nje kabanti nje ukuthi vele icukethe ini lena manual sabe sinayeke lomhla nga 6:30.
Kanzi-ke lo muhla sidaphinze-ke sikhulumisane naLinda Master Dlamini, who is our in-house sports journalist and analyst. Kubuka nje temidlalo lesibuya kuyodibukela kule mpelasonto lesibuya kuyo, particularly the English Premier League, where we saw Burnley, which was presented with a rather tough possible start to life. Good Premier League. Erling Haaland of Manchester City was back in his old routine with a devastating display of finishing as Manchester City opened the defense of their Premier League title with a comfortable victory at Burnley. Arsenal sibonile ke nayo idlala neNottingham. Le khombise kuba ngathi itawuba ingoti kakhulu kule season lesicalako. With the perfect start to this season, their weekend win helps them gather more momentum to add to their Community Shield win over Manchester City. Lesayibona ke eWembley kule mpelasonto lephelile. Kanti-ke Bukayo Saka's superb first half strike helped Arsenal begin their Premier League campaign with a 2-1 win over Nottingham Forest on the opening weekend. Other games included Crystal Palace versus Sheffield, where we saw Crystal winning 1-0 over Sheffield. Bournemouth versus West Ham corner, they drew with 1 goal apiece. Brighton, Ishayge Luton Town 4-1. Kanzi Everton yona lost 1-0 to Fulham. Newcastle destroyed Aston Villa in a 5-1 win. Brentford and Tottenham badrawile. Kanzi ngelsonto sukwini la itolo sibone an electrifying game between Chelsea and Liverpool, where we saw Reece starting in the midfield, which had a lot of Chelsea fans questioning whether there was a good idea. But ngesibonile ukuthi vele kuba khona kwa risk kuyisithe kakhulu iChelsea kuleya game ngoba uthena kaphuma kuleyo game Liverpool gained momentum again with Mo Salah displaying brilliance kuleyo game there. We'll discuss all these games with Linda Master Dlamini, including Cristiano Ronaldo's first title, of course, lapha Saudi Arabia with Al Nassr, and other games La Liga sibonile nana ukuthi ema games bekamnanzi kakhulu. Don't go anywhere.
Umsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV utibophelele kuhlonipha nekulandzela umgomo wetekusakata loweluswe libandla letekuchumana eVeni.
Ngephansi kwalomgomo sitimisele kusakata tindzaba letiya ngaleso sikhatsi, tindzaba letide magama lacosheme, letitsembekile, letitsinza tonke tinhlangothi naletisebaleni.
Kusukela kutepolitiki, tetemphilo, tekulima, tetinkantolo, netemhlaba wonke jikelele, siniletsela tindzaba njengoba tinjalo ngaleso sikhatsi letenteka ngaso.
Kanzi kulomsakato siphindze sikulethele lonke luhlobo lwetemidlalo kusuka emidlalweni welibhola letinyawo kuya emidlalweni ledlalelwa ematafuleni kanye naleto letichamuka ngaphandle kwakuleli.
leti tindzaba lowutiletselwa ngumsakazo wetitfombe iEswatini TV.
Leshumi ibumbene insimbi yesithupha nathi tindzaba indlovukazi Mhlekazi seyisule gogo nomsamyeni waseNgutseni Tinyembeti teminyaka ngekumakhela indlu lenemakamelo lamabili.
Kuvele nelemhlatsi kugogo nomsamyeni kulandzela kwakhelwa indlovu yemhlaba. Gogo Myeni bese aneminyaka ahlala ebaleni kulandzela kuwa kwendlu yakhe ludzaka lukwende kutsi agcine asahlala kubomakhelwane. Unele kuva ngesimo sagogo Myeni lomangceveza khwesha ubese uyisukumela iduli indzaba kutsi akhelwe gogo bungakapheli busika. Lo ngumngani wemakhosi Ntombi Mathe uthi indlovu yemhlaba ayifisi kutsi kube namunye umuntu lomdzala lophila ngaphansi kwesimo lesibucayi lapha eveni.
Tawufuthumala make namuhla utawulala kahle. Sicabanga ukuthi labanye utaphinza abathinze uNkulunkulu bakufakele fenisi kuleli khaya. Ngoba babe director uma sakhelwe umuntu asidzinga lokumnika liphahla. Sibese siphuma siyangena siyacela etinini intenkosi. Nanyalo make setakubambisa. Siyabonga kakhulu egameni lakhe Mhlekazi wonkosi. Nkosi. Ndlovukazi. Mhlekazi.
Gogo Myeni uthi unebantfana labane lenabo bese bahlala emtini.
Ekuyindlu yawo indlu edzaka. Ngiyabonga ukuthi sengithole likhobelo la ngitawuhlala khona nami njengebantu bonke. Ngiyabonga Ndlovukazi, Mhlekazi.
Lo meleli ihhovisi leliphinlandvunankulu lekungumcondzisi welhovisi labo sonhlala kahle Ncusi Shongwe ubonga bonke labaphose litshe sivivaneni.
Sethembe ukuthi nemango utambambisa nawo kugcina lelikhaya lihlantekile lihlobile livikelekile ngaso sonke isikhathi.
Indlovukazi Mhlekazi seyakhele bantfu labadzingile tindlu letingemashumi lapha eveni laseSwatini. Lobika-ke Ndzabeni Eswatini TV nguthando kuhle Mdluli ngina Simuva Shongwe eNgutseni.
Kulandzela kutsi umfana wesikolo wasemabanga laphansi wesikolo sasehlane Bulunga ashayiswa imotolo ashone ngesikhatsi ke lesikolo sivakashela tindzawo letahlukahlukene kuleli ngenhloso yekufundza kabanti ngetindzawo temlandvo walelive kanye naletikhangati vakashi. Libandla lelibukete kuphepha emigwacweni Road Safety Council likhutsata bothishela kanye nebantfwana kutsi abaphephe basesemigwacweni. Lo mfana wemfana washayiswa imoto eceleni kwemsamo welakuleli ngesikhatsi yeca umgwaco sekawugibela sekahamba.
Umfundzi Impumelelo Boyboy Nkambule neminyaka leli-13 washayiswa imoto ngemuva kwekusinakathi kuyo lomgwaco wagilana lomunye umfundzi wawele emgwacweni yasimoto lebekade ichushwa ngumuntu wesifazane yamshayisa waphola khona lapho. Uyise lomkhulu wemufi Phoyo uchaza kabanti.
Ewela laba ekuqala bahamba nasekwewela laba besibili laba base batibona ukuthi sebasele emuva bagijima lenzawo bathi inemahamps leyo bagijima ke labantwana sebayewela sebagilana la ekhathi nemgwaqo.
Lofundisa ngekuphepha emigwacweni lovele ebandleni lekuphepha emigwacweni Thembani Dlamini ucela ukuthi bonke labathinsekako ekuvakasheni kwebafundzi abaqinisekise kuphepha kwabo.
Siyacela nje nebatali ukuthi abantwana bangahambi ababayale ukuthi bathi iphathe kahle ngoba akusikuhle ukuthi umfana sahambile ayitriphini bese akasabuyi ngokuthi akati phathi kahle phambili wadlala wase uthola ingodi. Nase bafikile abantwana lapho baya khona siyacela lokuthi balalele kusibothishela bathini kubo bahambe ngeticumbi kube tegijima sisawelwa umgwaco ngoba ngiko lokufaka ke umfana engodini ukuthi yena besajahe kufika ebhasini wase uyagijima akasabuki ngova sichubeke sinake nje ukuthi umthetho uthi ngaphambi kokwela umgwaco uqala ubuke kucala ukuthi kude ntimoto yetikhona emgwacweni uwewele umgwaco wekushaktela ungagijimi.
Lo mndeni wakaNkambule ucela nelusito esiveni kakhulu etindlekweni tekufihla lelithambo lawo Lo mndeni uthi weswele nemali yokutfusa lesidumbu semufi kusuka eMbabane kuya kuBulunga. Labangafisa kusithi abangayishayela Musa Nkambule ku76 462610. Akulokunye lo mndeni noma asebuhlungeni kodwa kule mpelasonto le kungena umthimba kuleli khaya la kaNkambule njengaloku Swati sithi umthimba awuhlehliswa. Etindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla ngikubulunga.
Lobukela uhlelo lwekufuywa kwetinhlanti letatiwa ngele Eswatini Aquaculture Project leliqhutshwa ke liphiko lwe-Taiwan Technical Mission Andrew Siu. Uthi lolu phiko ngekusebenzisana nebafuyi bachubeka nekubuka tindlela tekutfutfukisa umkhicito wetinhlanti lapha eveni. Su uthi sebaqeqeshe abafuyi labangedluli kwema-50 ngaphansi kwalolu hlelo.
Kuthuthukisa kukhicitwa kwetinhlanti lapha eveni, luphiko le-Taiwan Technical Mission ngeminyaka wa-2021 lucale luhlelo lokufuya kwetinhlanti lapho khona lolu hlangothi lucecesha abafuyi ngekufuya tinhlanti letisezingeni lesetulu nangetindlela letawukhulisa umkhicito ngaphambi kwekuthi babanikete tinhlanti letiyinkulungwane umfuyi amunye. Ngaphansi kwalolu hlelo live le-Taiwan libambisa live lase-Eswatini kwakha indzawo yetinhlanti eMalkens Aquaculture Center lecale kwakhiwa eminyakeni lophelile. Lobukela lolu hlelo Andrew Su uthi inhloso lenkulu yalolu hlelo ukuthi eMaswati afuyele ukuthengisa itimakethe telive nangaphandle kwelive.
Before, fish farmer always don't have enough fish can stocking in your fish pond. Necessarily go to a natural dam or natural river to catch the natural fish, go to your fish pond. But right now, this center, you can control the good quality and quantity the fish tilapia fry to the fish farmer. And then help the fish farmer can from family aquaculture become a commercial aquaculture.
Umfuyi wetinhlanti lovakashele kuleli phiko ngelisonto kubuka ukuthi engabe umsebenzi wakhe wekufuya uhamba njani. Musangwenya uthi ngalolu hlobo lolusha lokufuya tinhlanti umkhicito wakhe utawenda kahle nasemakethe.
Leti fish kulesikhathi sesitfakile ladanyini letfu kuletinyanga letimbalwa tikhula fast ngoba uma senta lama test ethu ekukala tisindvo siyasibona lesindvo siyakhula nje impela and siyabona ukuthi sitawufika kulo 300 grams per fish inside lo 4-5 months. Lokusho ukuthi siyabona ukuthi sitawufika emakethe inside 6 months.
Lenzawo yetinhlanti leseMalkens kubheke ukuthi ibe seyiphelile kwakhiwa eminyakeni lotako. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkelsuye Khoza ngasikhumbuzo Dlamini eMalkens.
Umlimi longumuntu lomusha lolima tibhid wayephophonyana uthi isikhwama sekusita abalimi lesingephansi kwenkampani yahulumende iNamport imsitile kuthuthukisa ibhizinisi yakhe njengoba asakhona kulima emahekthala amaningi futhi uyethemba utawukwakha inzuzo lebonakalako.
Boniswa Dlamini uneminyaka lengema-27 kanti uneminyaka lesihlanu aqale kulima. Uthi ngenyanga yeNdlovu lenkhulu kulomnyaka hulumende umesekele ngemali leng-145,000 malangeni kuthuthukisa ibhizinisi yakhe.
Ngekusitwa nguNamport abambisene nahulumende kwaba khona imali lebanginika yona lengisite kakhulu kokuthi ngikhone kubiyela, ngikhone ukuthi ngithenge i-irrigation system, ngithenge nato tonke izinto lengidingako kuze ngikhone ukucala ukuthi ngikhicite. Ngiyabonga kakhulu kuNamport abambisene kanye naSwazi Bank. Bengingacela nje ukuthi litiko lahulumende ka-agriculture lichubeke kakhulu lisikhuthathe thina bantu labasha njengoba ngibakhuthatha abantu labasha ukuthi i-agriculture ingiyona the best lengasiniketa imali, siyekele kuyibukela phasi kwangathi abantu labangakafunzi.
Ngenyanga yenhlaba kulomnyaka litiko letekulima livetile ukuthi leSwatini lithenge tithelo netibhidvo leting-300,000 metric tons letilinganiselwa ku-2.2 billion emalangeni emaveni langaphandle. Kucinisekisa kwekuthi live alithengi kakhulu ukudla ngaphandle selisukumise tikhwama tekusita abalimi letilinganiselwa ku-100 million emalangeni. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Nelsi Wendla ngamandla eMbabane.
Umngani wemakhosi isikhulu sasezulwini Sifiso Khumalo uthi uma live lisonzeta kuNkulunkulu kude simo lelingeke likhona ekubhekana naso njengoba ke noma ngabe ngusiphi isimo lesikhona emhlabeni uNkulunkulu kuphela longasilungisa. Khumalo bekakhuluma ngesikhathi umphakathi wasezulwini ubambe inkonzo yemthandazo ngelisonto.
Umphakathi wasezulwini uyayobambe inkonzo yemthandazo njalo emva kwetinyanga letimbalwa noma ke kabili ngeminyaka kusonzeta lesive salomphakathi kuNkulunkulu. Ngelisonto ke sive bafundisi nebazalwane benzawo yasezulwini babambe inkonzo yemthandazo wesibili kulomnyaka njengoba yekucala lomphakathi wayibamba nakucala wona umnyaka kuvusetelana emoyeni phinze bakhane nasemoyeni. Umngani wemakhosi losikhulu sakhona ezulwini Sifiso Khumalo uthi leti nkonzo tithela tithelo letinhle njengoba nebantfu labasha sebabonakala batingena leti nkonzo ngebuningi babo. Khumalo uthi live laseSwatini uma litisonzeta kuNkulunkulu kude simo lelingeke likhone kubhekana naso njengoba noma ngabe ngusiphi isimo lesikhona emhlabeni uNkulunkulu kuphela longasilungisa.
Kwasi noma indvoza seyibhekane nelibhubesi yalinqoba libhubesi ngokuthi ingalo yaNkulunkulu beyingakuye. Yathi le indvoza sevele bona sakuthi cha bayifake emlilweni kufanele kubona sekuthi iyaphela. Nanabo lawo madvoza avele uNkulunkulu ngoba ingalo yaNkulunkulu yangakibo baseyivele. So nangabe uhamba naNkulunkulu siyafunza ukuthi ngale livi kude lapho kungenteka ukuthi mhlambe kube neobstacle khona. Noma ke kube nempi khona noma ke kube na Goliath ngoba labo Goliath ngelivi utakubuka abafuna ukuve in a human form. Kepha na uphila empilweni uyakhanza ukuthi baningi bo Goliath nihlangana betala nabo nje ni. Na usuke ekhaya ekseni uyakhanza sikho lo Goliath nihlangana betala naye la endleleni. Wafuna nje ukukhipha ekholweni. Kwathi mbite ngekuthini. Kepha ngokuthi unaNkulunkulu wangakwendi lo.
Kule nkonzo bamfula beswele nalabakhubatekile balenzawo baphuwe nekudla kanti bafundisi labashumayele bakhulumise tihloko letahlukene tifake ekhatsi kwethemba uNkulunkulu kungabandlululani nekuthi likhetfwe lelive luhambe kahle lube nekuthula. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkeliswe Khoza ngasikhumbuzo Dlamini ezulwini.
Mkhulu Joshua Sikhumbalanga loneminyaka lengama-75 ubudzala wakuMagele ucela lusito lwekwakhelwa indlu kulandzela ukuthi sewuhlala ngephandle indlu yakhe ingamgcobani noma kunini. Uthi solo washonelwa ngumfana wakhe impilo atabe ibe melula.
Kulendlu lahlala kuyo langa uthi uhlala netinyoka kanike sewaba kudla kwemakhata imihla nemalanga kanike futhi usilendlu yakhe inetimbobo uma ungekhathi uyabona ngaphandle ngoba beteke kwendlu ephilile sekumende ukuthi ahlabe inyanza leyo acela sive semaswati ukuthi simhawukele simsite ngekumakhela indlu.
Ngangigqoba noma kunini bengicela ukuthi lusito labangangisita ngekuthi nemntwana bekunaye washona ngasala ngedwana ayiseyifile seyivuvukile babe yonke lendzawo ingangigqoba noma kunini.
Langa ke uyacela emaswatini ukuthi simakhele nje indlu noma ke sangilelwe nelikamelo linye kanti ke unelithemba ukuthi emaswati angeke ambukelele aphile nempilo layiphilako. Nendlala ke iyatendela kulomdzala njengoba udela ngakudla njengoba emalanga ayalandzelana angakadli lutho. Lo ngamsita angashayela Ntokozo longumakhelwane enombolweni lesi 7694 8442 kubika Giyani Msebenzi nasimuva Shongwe kuMagele eshiselweni.
Inkampani yelucwaningo nekucubungula iRoyal Science and Technology Park ibambisene netinhlangothi letitsindzekako kubuka kwekuthi tinhlangothi letahlukene kuleli tingasebentisa kanjani tindlela tebuchwepheshe tisebente ngendlela lengayinyukubeti imvelo. Lokho kuvetwe ngumchumanisi kule nkampani Senzo Malaza.
Kuguquguquka kwesimo selitulu kuhlasele umhlaba wonke lokufaka ekhatsi leSwatini njengoba sekwanze timvula letimatima letihamba netikhukhula kanye nemililo yemahlathi kulamanye emave. Umchumanisi weRoyal Science and Technology Park Senzo Malaza uthi lenkampani ikhulumisana netinhlangothi letahlukene kubuka kwekuthi yini lengentiwa kulwa kangcono nalesimo lapha eveni.
Sibuka ukuthi emanti wona singakhona njani ukuthi siwonge ngendlela lengiyo nekuthi konke lokuphathelene nemnotfo lo tsinzelana nendzaba temandi kungaba into lesebentako iphindze iyivikele imvelo. Kafishane nje sibuke tonke tindzaba letitsinza kuvikela imvelo kanye nekubuka kuthuthuka kwemnotfo. Ngakho-ke sithi kuletihlokwana letisithupha sitabe sibuka leto nhlangothi kutawuba khona labethula tinkhulumo, kutawuba khona nalabethula emaphepha lesitawutsi ngama-presentations kanye nalabethula emaphepha labachamuka elihlangothini lwetemfundvo noma i-academia. Sibuke ukuthi nema-industry experts kuleti nhlangothi letahlukene kutawuba khona lapho sitabe shiyana khona lugwayi singileti nhlangothi.
Le nkampani ithi live litawuba ingcenye yemhlangano yetinkampani telucwaningo nekucubungula telivekati le-Afrika lapho kutawubukwa khona kwekuthi lelivekati lingasebenta kanjani linganyukubeti imvelo. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Nelsiwendla ngamandla kunasikhumbuzo Dlamini ezulwini.
Umbiko lohlanganiswe libandla lekonga imvelo kuleli Eswatini Environment Authority ngekwakhiwa kwemigwaco imotshane sigangeni lokungu D78 ukhomba ukuthi kwakhiwa kwalomgwaco kutawusita kuthuthukisa umnotho welakuleli kanye-ke nekuqinisekisa ukuthi lakuleli liyakhona kufeza emagoli akamhlaba entuthuko lakhonsako ima-Sustainable Development Goals.
Umgwaco welitiyela lowakhiwa kutawubiwa ngamakhilomitha langu-6.5 kanti ubheke ukuthi ubita imali lefikako ku-29.7 miliyoni emalangeni. Ngekusho kwembiko welibandla lekonga imvelo kuleli uthi lokwakhiwa kwalomgwaco kutawusita ekwakheni amathuba emabhizinisi. Lo mgwaco ubheke ukuthi uthuthukise tekuchumana endaweni yasemotshane nasesigangeni uphindze futhi uthuthukise lenhlalakahle yaso sive. Lo mbiko silomsebenzi kwakhiwa kwalomgwaco utawuvula netimakethe. Lo mbiko uchubeka ukuthi lokwakhiwa kwalomgwaco kutawusita kakhulu njengaloku ngetikhathi tetimvula bekukade kungahambeki njengaloku bekubese sekuyashelela ngako manje bantfwana besitikolwa kanye nalabahamba ngetinyawo sebatawuphepha. Injiniyela lomkhulu etiko letemsebenti lemkhulu nekutfutsa Vincent Dlamini aphendula tikhala tesive tikhala ukuthi ngathi kuhamba kancane kwakhiwa kwalomgwaco njengoba bekubheke ukuthi uphele kwakhiwa kule nyanga lesetulu. Ucele sive ukuthi asibeketele wathi ikontrakt yakhe lomgwaco isebenza ngekukhandla kuqinisekisa ukuthi usheshe uyaphela. Dlamini ukhutsate sive lesinekukhala ukuthi singavele ofisini kuye noma simthinze enombolweni yakhe enombolweni ethi 76063833. Tindzabeni kubika Fortune Dlangamandla kanti Tfombe kunelisiwe Dlangamandla sisemotshane.
Libandla lemaweseli enkhundleni yasemotshane endzaweni yasekupheleni likhutsata bonke bazalwane kuleli kwekuthi bakukhuthalele kuvakashela imiphakathi bamikisa umthandazo njengoba kudala ukhetho. Labafundisi bavete lokhu ngesikhathi kunenkonzo yokuthandazela live emphakathini ekupheleni.
Leli vela kangwane lalivele libuswa ngekukholwa. Manje ke la imiphakathi ithi imiphakathi nje ibukwe boshifu bantu abenkosi. Bantu abenkosi babukela inkosi. Bonke labantu bangemakholwa. Singemakholwa ke silive event la kangwane. Sibese siyeta akukhetheli ke lakithi ekupheleni ukuthi kutaliphi libandla. Onke amabandla ayeta endlunkulu ate umntwana enkosi usho njalo. Lokho kwenta ukuthi kunciphe bubi nebudlwangudlwangu lobubakhona ekuphileni kwethu thina bantu.
Umshumayeli Solomon Hlophe uthi sive kufanele sikwetayele kuvakashela imiphakathi sesekele bobabe tikhulu.
Lisileli lapha kuncwadi yetaka sasuko sesithathu sitafunda nanje verse 5 lothi themba kuJehova ngayo yonke inhlito yakho uze ungancike kwakho ukuqonda.
Lelibandla lemaweseli lithi liyaye livakashele imiphakathi leyahlukene kuleli njengoba likholelwa ukuthi libandla linenzima lenkulu lefanele liyidlale entfuthukweni yelive. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Nelsiwendla ngamandla ngisekupheleni.
Kutemidlalo Martin Lichka nguye lohamba embili emchutselwaneni welgaluva eMananga Open ledlalelwe eMananga Golf Club. Kanti Lichka uhambe embili ngegruss ya 144.
Ngolembela somvu badlali bemidlalo welgaluva bebangenela umchutselwano walomdlalo enkundleni yeMananga Golf Club. Lo mqhudelwano luqale nagabanxa insimbi yesithupha ekuseni lodlalelwe imigodi leng-36 ugcine anqotshwe nguMartin Lishka ngegross leng-144.
Surreal, you know, I'm a social golfer. So this for me, it's very special. I couldn't imagine it. You know, my first dream was to win club champs, but to win an open and to be maybe one of the best in Swaziland for this, no, it's a dream come true.
Wandile Simelane longkapteni weMananga Golf Club uthi badlali balomdlalo bakhombe ukudlala ezingeni elisetulu.
So we're happy that everything went well. All the players came and they were on time, and we managed to finish the Open. Everyone played 36 holes, which was good.
Bangetulu kwamashumi lamane nesiphohlongo badlali balomdlalo labangenele lo mqhudelwano kanti Khaya Nhlengethwa uphume wabasenzaweni yesibili ngegross ye-146. Lobikela umsakati Eswatini TV kutemidlalo ngilinda Dlamini anamfana futhi Bhembe eMananga.
Lisekela lamengameli wenhlangano lengamele umdlalo wevolleyball kuleli Eric Gama uthi izinga lekudlala lomdlalo lenyukile kusukela ku-series yokucala leyadlalwa ngenyanga ledlulile njengoba ke sekude emacembu lanqoba imidlalo kalula. Gama bekakhuluma nakuchubeka imidlalo ye-series yesibili yale midlalo lesekelwe inkampani yakamula Sport Betting.
Ngenyanga ledlulile inhlangano lengamele umdlalo wevolleyball kuleli yadlalisa imidlalo ye-series yokucala yale midlalo lesekelwe inkampani yakamula Sports Betting emali engetulu kwa-100,000 emalangeni. Licembu le-correctional kwaba ngibo boshampiyoni kodwa-ke litaba nebulukhuni nekuphinze linqobe lemidlalo ye-series yesibili njengoba lamanye amacembu akhomba kudlala elizingeni elisetulu.
Futhi kuyakhombisa ukuthi ikhona good improvement. Abantu abakudecide kusho ukuthi vele emandla abo aphosakalingana. Nakusuka umuntu lo previous tournament abe number 8 ayodlala a competitive game nemlubeke number 2 kusho kona standard sikhuphuke kakhulu. Siboyene Bob Ladies lapha ishikiliswa iRez kule game isanza kuphela nakhona igcine iphela ku decide kwaphela nga2-1. Lokusho ukuthi nje namhlanje bo2-0 asikaze sibabone lokusile bo2-1 kusho kona ukuthi lonke setphoseth iyalingana emandla ato.
Kanti yena Gama uphinze waveta ukuthi imidlalo yema-semifinals itawudlalwa mhla ka-27 kuyona lenyanga lesetulu njengoba mhla ka-26 kutawube kuchubeka lukhetho loluncane. Lolubikela umsakati Eswatini TV kutemidlalo ngilinda Dlamini namfana futhi Bhembe kalobamba.
Ngaleto siyadiphetha ke tekucala delisuku asibahlole emakethe nasibuya lungelele sits down with Clerk of Parliament Benedict Xaba.
Hello and welcome to Eswatini TV and to a brand new talk show called A Cuppa with Nomgebo. And I do what I have to do because I know where I'm going. All 5 of my mothers have inspired me.
So the addiction didn't happen then. It happened again another 8 years later. But that's where it started.
Choices I made at the time were not the best choices for myself.
I understand how a person can lose their mind in terms of life experiences.
That's what it looks like, and I like that. But you know what? The journey to my success is never a straight line. Yeah, people are on the net now, and that's where we'd like to catch them with such shows.
Asiphindise sinimukele sakuvusela nawo losanza kusivulela besivedile ukuthi isitaba esikhulumisana na Clerk to Parliament baba Benedict Xaba njengoba kumla nje ukuthi iParliament eSwatini icala umsebenzi wokwakha bhukwana lotawufundisa imalungu eParliament ngetingoni nje letehlukahlukene lekumele atati asacuba umsebenzi wawo khona eParliament kwenda lokho ke iParliament ebambisana netinhlangothi letehlukahlukene lokhu kwendeka nje ngoba kubheke ukuthi kungene imalungu eParliament lamasha kulomnyaka kulandzeleke ukuthi ingwenyama icithe eParliament lenza mhla mhla ka-11 July kulomnyaka sesivele sokukhona ke babexaba ukuthi kuchazela nje ukuthi vele kahle lena manual le yakhiwa yiParliament icukethe ini ngutiphi mhlambe tikhale labatibonile bayiParliament ukuthi kwakhiwe lena manual babexaba sikuvusele siyabonga nje ukuthi ube nathi lo mhla ekseni kube mhlambe singakangene nje kuye kwakhiweni kwalobhukwana kungaba kuva nje mhlambe nje i-performance yabo former MP labaphumile nje kulomnyaka ukuthi ngabe vele ukusebenza kwabo kuhambe kanjani nje nasibukwa ngole 5 years.
Asibonge kakhulu umsakade sibonga kakhulu Magagula kokucala nje angivusele sonke sive seMaswati ekseni kokucala umuntu kanje akubonge ukuthola lithuba lelifana leli lengakuveta nje ikakhulu lokuthinzako indzaba 11 Parliament ngingaveta nje kumbe tingingona letimbili ema positives nalokube i-challenge ingathi nje kakhulu la kusebenteke khona kahle lengathi vele kube wonke umlaleli osekhaya endlini akuvamisa kushaya tandla la bengase khona asibashayele abahlonishwa labaphumule be-11 Parliament kusenza bento ekushaya umthetho ngingaveta nje ukuthi ema bills lalethiwe eParliament abe 100 kusho ukuthi likhulu yakhona iParliament kwasebenta kahle kakhulu kwathi la 91 aphasa abangumthetho kuye lo 5 years uma ke siya emuva si trace iParliament back ungathi lokho kokucala ngca ukuthi iParliament ingashaya imithetho lenjena kusho nje ukuthi iscoration 91% ekushayeni imithetho leParliament lephumile 11 Parliament lokho ke kukusebenta lokukhulu kakhulu kuba nema international instruments kulama international instruments ngaveta nje ukuthi la lethiwe eParliament abe ngu15 lapho vele yawasebenta yonke iParliament 100% scoring rate lesibe khona bese kuba ke nema subordinate legislations khona ke lang 15 lang 10 futhi ikhonile kuthi iParliament waphasisa so lokhu kusebenta lokuhle kakhulu kweParliament bengizama nje kuyibuka kubona 1963 la icala khona iParliament yethu khona uthi mawubuka ubone selabahlonishwa abaphumile bagabuzele basebenta abatikhandla kakhulu kumbe ngisesho njalo Magagula umuntu nje wonke unesandla sakhe sekudla nesencele singathi kumbe sencele ngathi weakness lapha noma lokube i-challenge yathi sesichamuke kubo COVID-19 so iParliament ishale imithetho lengaka nje kuwena ama challenges labe kumele isebente virtual khona iqala itechnology lengayadi but ngisho ukuthi even then noma isebenzisele technology ayifunze etulu ikhonile lokuthi isebente kahle kakhulu lokunye lokube i-challenge longaza kwenteke lama emaParliament ubonile ukuthi emalungu eParliament phose ithe masiyophela kwathola ukuthi kuba nekushintsha lamanye asishiye emhlabeni lamanye angabi khona ngetizathu letehlukene so naloko kube ngiyo i-challenge lengathi ngibona ke lungahambeli kahle leParliament yes11 kodwa overall iParliament isebenza kahle kakhulu lungelele ngiyakholwa ukuthi bonke labakhetha babona ukuthi ku11 Parliament cha basebenti impela.
Okay. Kumena sesibuka nje le manual noma ke mhlambe lobhukwana ababexaba kuva nje ukuthi vele kahle utabe acukethe ini. I think nje mangibuka nje lamanye manual kulamanye for instance nje inda kukhona lokuthi vele kunekuthi emotion for introduction of a bill yendiwa kanjani ngabe thini lapha kule manual wethu yalapha eSwatini yini mhlambe lesingayigatha kiwo ema contents ayo.
Asibonge kakhulu Magagula lengakusho nje ukuthi isuka ku strategic plan uyakhumbula ngake ngeta lapha ukuthi sakhe strategic plan eminyakeni lophelile so say implementation yaso so saqhamuka nalose sisweta nalese sabuke ama strengths nema weaknesses so le manual is built upon lama consultations lesaba nawo nekubuka ukuthi yini ama strengths nema weaknesses ale ayo iParliament lengakuveta kakhulu nje lokungasho si le manual lona noma lobhukwana la utaba very comprehensive ngekuthi utawucover shalo 5 years and divide ke tingonini letehlukene sinala sithi nje ama priority areas la kufaka yona induction lengakuveta kusilokhu ucover shaka lapha kutawusuka kuye lo MP angibekise nje manager bakakuncome bengethemba sikumbe bakuncomile engudleni yakho kodwa wonke umuntu nje iyasho iconstitution yakithi ukuthi kuzube lunga leParliament kufuneka ube liswati ube neminyaka len18 lokusho ukuthi wonke umuntu ucapable noma angaba lunga leParliament lokho nje ngakona kungiyo into lekumele uyibuke lokuthi naku solunga leParliament uyafika uyafunga so ubudwa ukuthi honorable lokho nje kungayishintsha impilo yakho uthole kusomnye kuyishintsha kuba iblessing kulomnye futhi kungaba icase le status. So sibuke kusile manual itawucover kusuka ekuqaleni lesifungo losentako eParliament. Mawuqala nje ufika uba mhlonishwa kune uyafunga wente i-oath of allegiance. So lokho kufuneka ukuthi siku unpack ukuthi lo sofungo lekusho njani lokuthi nje lebhalo lethi honorable selisho ukuthini kuwe. Then bese kuba ke nale mandate lekumele wonke umhlonishwa ngathi kufuneka kube into lehlali kuye ukuthi mbamba what is the mandate of Parliament. Angibekise ukuthi iParliament kulemkhono lemithathu yahulumende. So ibuke indzaba tekusha umthetho esingathi legislation process iphinze ibuke i-representation bese kuba i-oversight. So mawufika eParliament ukhethiwe kodwa uholela ibhasi lekini awukaze vele ukucabanga noma ngabe bongiprofessor ude esikhathi nje sekunake ethi iParliament yenta. So kufuneka sikuthathe kule mandate yayi iParliament ukuthi yadi mandate yeParliament ukuthi vele utokwentana mabakuthumile enkundleni yakini utokwentana lapha. Angibekise nje lenzaba ye-oversight i-very crucial ukuthi kokucala kwathi le separations lama arms of government ukuthi kune Parliament kune executive bese kuba ne judicial. So le role enkulu yeParliament MP, what is your role as a member of Parliament? What is the role of le Parliament ngekwayo? Angibekise kulenza be-oversight. Uma singabafundisi kahle labahlonishwa utawuthola ukuthi seba in bed ne-executive. Yaze iParliament yaba in bed ne-executive, then the public will suffer because ingeke isakhona kuyelusa kulahleka bo accountability nekuse executive kufuneka ithembise ukuthi ngidakwenta ABC. Then mawulunga leParliament kufuneka besoke uhold accountable ukuthi nathi ngidakwenta naku nanako. So i-brought the manual itawucover even nabo tindvuna tembuso ngoba before ube indvuna yembuso uqala ube member of Parliament. So mawufika nje awati ukuthi umthetho usha kanjani noma ngabe waba khona but sifuna kwenta different this year ngoba sifuna kuba i-best Parliament and i-benchmark kuyo. So itabe iqukethe tingonde tinyenti ukuthi umthetho usesuka etiko uvela uhambisa njani ufike kuma drafters asebentana executive yenteni uzofika eParliament. So letingonde kakhulu esitabe sicoverisha.
Okay. Mhlawumbe kubuda nje babexaba ukuthi ingabe dikhaladini lentibonile nje neParliament ekuthenini nize nifike la kulesinqumo sokuthi akwakhiwe lona bhukwana mhlawumbe nangabekisa nje ngama past incidences mhlawumbe lekendekile ngoba I think sakubona nje indzabeni ukhuluma ukuthi lamanye amalungu eParliament abesacabanga ukuthi avikelekile timfene letiningi mhlawumbe nasibuka nje imphatho ukuthi kumele bathi phathe njani bushito nje ukuthi sebabu honorable so nemphatho nayabalekile ingabe ngitiphi letikhala lentibonile nje neze nifike kulesinqumo lesekwakhiwa kwale manual.
Yes, njalo ngivedile ukuthi vele tingoni tiningi but kunaleti khile start faka ku induction bese tiyaqhwetha ngibekise nje tindzaba yema immunities nema privileges. So masawukhethiwe ungakuthola ukuthi ukunderstand kahle ukuthi lo sengilunga leParliament vele mina sengingakhuluma noma yini. Mangifika lapha endlini ngibekise kunema procedure ne practice lesebenta akusho ukuthi masonikelwa uma privileges lawo so yefika nje ukhulume noma yini ngazibani banyana athi nje mangakuthanzi ungilungelele umuntu sowuphakamisa emotion noma sokukhuluma ngawe kanjani njani. So kufuneka noma abaprotecteka abahlonishwa kodwa kumele bathi ukuthi le buhamba kugcinephi nekuthi nje ngeke bese ukuyethuka sowentani nekuthi ke ihamba ifike phi vele mawusendlini masokungaphandle kwendlu uyakhona ukukhuluma lokho. So lokho ngathi ku very crucial ukuthi bahlonishwa bakwadi nekuthi ke iParliament isebenta nge-committee system kunalama committee lesithi ngema sectional committees sekunema portfolio committees njalo wathi kunalabo PAC sinabo Pan African Parliament sekunema committee labuke ematiko. So mawulunga leParliament sekumele wathi ukuthi ungena kuleli committee le vele litabe lentani mabefika labahlonishwa nekuthi mali ya international then there awusesiwe lo representative sokumele lelive. So kumcwa kakhulu ukuthi ke wathi kabantu ukuthi vele ithile mandate iposition yelive ukhona ukuthi permanent service staff ithole ukuresearchela ukuthi uyokhuluma lembili futhi iposition yelive ithini kuyo subject le discusswa kungaba ka IPU ka Pan African Parliament kanjalo ke nako ma committee nje lento yona oversight ngaba iPAC kungaba even abo budget committee siyathi sitaya budget sinele sathi somhlongisha masimfakele le committee leli wathi vele sicha ngifakwe le committee nento awukhona kusebenta kuyo.
Yeah, kunengivelele kumele bakwadi bahlonishwa babexaba. I think lokunye nje lokubalekile ngiye constitution mele bayade ukuthini mhlambe nesifungo sabo bas understand ukuthi kusho ukuthini lokho sabafungile mhlambe nawungasichazela nje wena abe nje ukuthi vele kubaleka kanani ukuthi vele tonke letimvuleti badade lesifungo kanye ne constitution.
Yes, kumcwa kakhulu angibekise nje lesifungo uvela usukuthi bophelele ukuthi naku le ngiyokwenta le allegiance ngiyoyenta ngiphinze vele ngiseve lesifungo kakhulu sisho lokuthi udector server kakhulu and we have come to serve the nation. So lo munye angakuthatha ukuthi hey mase honorable is a big position sengumuntu lomkhulu kanti wena udector by servant of the people and of the nation. Kanjalo iconstitution it's your Bible. So njengalo sithinza nje ukuthi siya ku induction at the same time sinema areas lesithi ku strategic plans sifuna kuya ku parliament. So sifuna ukuthi lesifungo kanjalo nale constitution bese banema standing orders ngoba iparliament isebenza ngenqubo nangema procedure. So lama standing orders besiwa reviewa nje nyalo for both houses. So kumele kube iBible. So mabefika abahlonishwa nje vele technology dafuneka sibafundzise. Mabefika nje siyafaka le oath kufuneka abohlala nayo la uyahamba kuphecingweni maso ikhohliwe sowufunda kufuneka uhlubo ibuka ukuthi awungafunga le constitution busuku nemini kufuneka ihlale kule gadget yakho. Standing orders utokwathi mawufika lapha nje ungamanisi usuma nga standing order 58 kana aka apply lo standing order.
Mhlawumbe sisilapho nje kulenza abe strategy babexaba lokuyasho lokuthi vele le manual is part of the strategic plan se parliament kuva nje kusabe vele mhlawumbe nasibuka implementation senihambe kanganani nje mhlawumbe including nako kufakwa kwalobhukwana.
Ngingasho ukuthi le strategic plan umntu nje abonga kakhulu UNDP lo support kakhulu kuso nalokuchubeka ko support nanyalo. Ngingathi iprogress inhle kakhulu. Ngingabekisa nje sokwabona in the past silauncha bo wellness program laba kuso strategic plan nyalo sikule manual noma lokubhukwana lesimsebentako and kuna lamanye ama areas la khona la manual la very critical ikakhulu abahlonishwa labetako lesithi iparliament. So sibuke vele ukuthi sibe paperless noma sehlise kakhulu vele nje sosi nje nyalo sidabade esikhase ukuthi siye emishinini siyogaya iconstitution simoshe amaphepha lamane bahlonishwa batavele bayithole online bavele bathole ama standing orders zabo. So ngiyo le implementation yayo le iparliament lokunye kutaba iframework ye implementation how do they engage with the public ngoba phela maso parliamentarian efuneka iconstituency ungayishiyi. So sibonile ukuthi thwala abanye bahlonishwa kade sakugcina. So nyalo kunema platforms zamane can we use the social media as an advantage for lama politicians. So sine team nyalo parliament le gadze nje lokuthi mabefika sibathatha through ukuthi nje uyisensa kanjani icomputer that is still implementation yayo uphindwe uyisensa kanjani uyangena siyabafaka ku Twitter ma MPs how do they engage with the community using even ale social media. So social media ibe nayo ama challenges but ikhona buhlelo omningi lesise siparliament asekusebenzise kona. Lokunye lokuqala kwe restructuring. So siyaqala sente i-restructuring eParliament itobuka kahle nyalo ukuthi ema departments eParliament ngoba uma iParliament service i-weak then nalama politicians ataba weak. So we want to have a strong team that will support abona bahlonishwa kube nema researchers makefika umhlonishwa kathi lutho ngedaka ICT but there must be a person or researcher ko amsete umhlonishwa ukuthi oh daka ICT litikola ka ICT lisebenta kanje la ka health lisebenta kanje. So we are strengthening ama structures eParliament.
Okay, kubuda nje xaba ukuthi le manual lena lokuseniyakhile nje nyalo mhlambe inidaphinze ni renew after every 5 years noma mhlambe seniyakhile nje bonke abahlonishwa batawusebenzisa yona tawhamba kanjani.
Kusho nje ukuthi according to le plan lesinayo siyakhila vele lo 5 years itawuba nale induction bese kuba nema training. Ngingaveta nje ukuthi nyalo sinema stakeholders kuleli viki lephelile nje besihlangene nabo bo legal advisor bematiko ne office la ka AG ema drafters sibuka tonga tingoni letidzinga bo legal advisor kuso manje ngabamba lapha kufundziswe lo siyaqhubeka nekuhlangana nalamanye ematiko sidabe sihlangene ematiko onke ahulumende ngalesithathu siphindze sihlangene nabo PS sihlangene nema-development partners sihlangene even nama-former politicians khole sitabita ukuthi asenisho ukuthi ngikuphi la kuhamba khona. So sibuke ukuthi kulo 5 years sitawufundisa lesithi lo induction bese siyaqhubeka bayafundziswa periodically utawuphuma nekhalenda like nje UNDP kukhona lofuna ukuthi ubohle ukufundisa ama-parliamentarians sokuthi aba nekhalenda besides lo bhukwana lesitaba nayo for 5 years but we shall review it kakhulu lekhalenda sisaqhubeka bese kusimakupha 5 years ledaka iparlamente nayo siyokhela lo msho bathi khathi iyashintsha.
Ngabe nasibuka nje ixaba itaba ready nini yena le manual?
Sine target vele njalo ngisho nje kusasilali so i-target yethu ukuthi beginning of October seyikhona seyiyasebenta kodwa sitaqala siyipilot siyoyitesta ikakhulu sifundise tona sisebente eParliament tiyati shothi nje target is end of September then we are doing testing then mabefika bone office seyivele iready so iplan lesinayo ukuthi vele emalunga atawuhamba e-training before kube nemakomedi before aye endlini utaya loyo muntu utabe asade ukuthi isebenta kanje iParliament even netindvuna tembuso utawuthola sincinye sekune training kodwa ticala kube ngemalunga eParliament so kumcuka lokuthi tibe khona kule training so that athi nje kusimawulethe ibill eParliament uyihamba la mase kuthiwa nje i-committee of the whole house kusho ukuthini uyipresenta njani ibill yakho iziyosayinwa so utawuthenza bonke bahlonishwa senators House of Assembly even the executive since nabo vele bangemalunga eParliament.
Okay, no, ngiyavakala sibonga kakhulu Xaba isikhathi sakho lo mhla ekseni. Mbukele bese ikhulumisana naye Clerk to Parliament babe Benedict Xaba sinike nje isithombe sokuthi lo bhukwana lona la makhago eParliament abamisene netinhlangothi ucukethe ini kahle kahle uyavedeka ukuthi bathembe ukuthi naqala yona inyanga yemphala udabe sekalungile kude bahlonishwa labasha batofundiswa kabanti ngawo lo bhukwana. Sibahlete emakethe sisabe sichubeke nehlelo.
Do you remember the spinning thing? This is us. This picture represents what we did. We were there when coronavirus wreaked havoc in our population. Together with other stakeholders, we formed the first line, controlling the spread of the unknown and unseen enemy of the people. Anxious ourselves, we collected dead bodies countrywide. At the time when no one wanted to come near dead bodies of loved ones, we did care for our fellow citizens. Thank you, the people of Eswatini and teams of first responders.
Asimze silemekele sakuvusela nawe lo sanza kusivulela kulesikhathi sitawubuka simo semgwaco kuva ukuthi ngabe kuhambeka kanjani lo mhla emgwacweni asikuvusele kule ngabe kuhambeka kanjani lo mhla ekseni.
Angivusele Thombeni ngivusele umbukeli wehlelo umthamo wethu motolo emgwacweni awusiyo lunganane kwatise ukuthi ikolo lesiningi athi sito lesivuliwe ukuthatha nje ukuthi awube kunene nakube kunjalo asiqhubeke sinake timpawu temgwaco sihloniphe imithetho yemgwaqo kusibo bonke abantwana lese basemakhaya basekhona lababheka khona esikolweni bayadinga kunaka nekunakekelo ikakhulukazi sisawusebenzisa umgwaqo kanti nakhona emakhaya asikhuthaze batali ukuthi abachubeke basinakele bantwana babagcine bangilabo labaphephile ikakhulu ukuthi bangapweshi emehlweni abo ngaso sonke isikhathi lapha nje endaweni yasemponjeni sinakile ukuthi njengoba kunakathi ingcola esinkulu ethuthayo nawumoba kuyabonakala ukuthi etindzaweni lapho kunemabhambi khona balambukela wona ke umoba obe kunene asikwekhude lokho kakhulu ngemagama laqinile ukuthi batali abakunake lokho batasilimalela ke bantwana kanti ke emadolobheni ethu siba netemgwaqo edolobheni lembabane sisebenza kahle umgwaqo wesomkhulu lo lapha eTulu emangwaneni nawusuka khona ekeni lasengwenya emile maloli amakhulu lapha emzilendo ngasenxele bese kuthi ke timotolo tiyawugcina umzila lo ngasekudla sinciphise litubane sisendlula lapho kanti lapha endawo sekumasafa umthamo walabo labamba ngetinyawo nesimotolo ubonakala uphakama ikakhulu lapha mahala lalapha eTulu kanidlunganye nawubheka khona lapha bomashaya itafula noma ke bo Emergency Correctional Services nemgwaqo Long Police College Road kusetulu ke lapho umthamo walabo labasebenzisa wona umgwaqo. Sichubeke bekunene sinakane sihloniphane sinikeza nemathuba lapha ephile kowela wona-ke umgwaqo. Kanti kamanzini nathi manje lethi lapha eNazarene asisebenzi sesinemalanga-ke noko tingasebenzi kusukela ngalesihlanu nje impelasonto yonke atisebenzi leto sibane leto tingasebenzi nje asikhuthaze bekunene kokuthi umgwaqo lapho utibane temgwaqo tingasasebenzi khona uyaguquka ube yi-4-way stop lokho ukuthi siyawuchubeka sihloniphane siniketane amathuba. Nginakile itolo esihloniphana sibili sithi-ke nanamuhla nakube kutawanza umthamo wethu imoto lemgwaqweni sidinge sente njalo phela bekunene sihloniphane siniketane amathuba singavuleli nje umphelane kepha nje sani wena lofike kuqala uniketele omunye lithuba. Ngakwenda kanjalo siyawuphepha singawadzingi nemaphoyisa la yosilekelela akhona-ke nyalo ekuseni njengoba kuphithitela kusita sona sive ukuthi sihambe kalula lapha etibaneni temgwaqo. Kanti lapha enhlangano khona seluvaliwe umgwaqo wethu losuka lapha kaMjuda ubheke khona lapha ngaserengini la sisebenzisa-ke wona-ke umgwaqo longena itulo edolobheni ungenele khona lapha ekhathi edolobheni yokumela ngalena ubheka khona bosali Evelyn Bearing. Siyacela nje bekunene ukuthi sichubeke sishayele ngalokukhulu ukucophelela linye lifunza uyahambeka kugcizelela nje ukuthi bekunene sichubeke sicaphele la ukhona khona sinake imfuyo sinake timotolo sinake lonke lihlobo loluyawusebenzisa umgwaqo welesiqiniseko sokuthi la ukhona khona utibeka embili ekuphepha ngaso sonke isikhathi. Siyabonga sinifisele kusebenza okuhle endlini emsakazo nesive semaswati sisifisele lona ilanga lelihle naleliphephile sachubeka nemisebenzi yethu.
Sibonga kakhulu Magwabane kusiniketa leyo mbiko lomhla ekuseni kusele imizuzu lemithathu ukuthi kushaye insimbi esikhombisa sithabahlelo emakethe esibhini edinzaba tetfu.
Phela makhaya inkosi nangabe phela udukhohliwe timbe phatakho buye eceleni. Ubuye eceleni phela thina sijeke emsebentini awungeke phela. Ukhohlela le-ID nalenombolo yokuvota. Lele basifakele yona phela la tincingweni. Ha, yibonini. Buye eceleni inkosi yathi ngijeke emsebentini kwani mina. Hayi wena msawumnye ngathi igaba lesithathu ihamba phela koshi tithi nyalo. Sigaba secala sasihamba i-voter validation. Lapho khona sithi hamba uye emphakathi wangakini uyohlolisisa ukuthi le mininingwane lowayibhala ingiyo yini nendzawo la tovotela khona. Niyokahle kahle nje sithi lapho koshi hlolisisa imininingwane yakho nathi sibambisane ukuthi imininingwane yakho ibhaleke kahle yini. Nani. Hayi phela lokho kutawondeka lebo 22 June kuyale ku 12 July. Yebo bese ke sigaba lesilandzelako sey-nomination coach lapho khona kubheka ukuthi ngenkundla inominate lokungenani bantu labacala ku3 kuya ku20 kuze ke umuntu anqonye kufuneka lokungenani abe nemavoti lang10. Ngiyahleka yini mfana babe ngoba ngithi nje lekhaya selisendvo ngitawungena nje ngigijima nonyaka simfaka umuvu lokakake wasendela lutho asimfaka acela ama-project ngokuya phuma ikosha. Yanti lathi indzaweni kulama community sithini sifayisana nema-problems imbamba sithi ngama-solution bamba. Yebo koshi. Hayi kahle phela benguye kulandzela yena mkhulu ngicela ufake yena. Yebo bekacele ukuthi ngimbambele kulandzela yena. Bese ke sigaba lesilandzelako sengama-primary elections. Wona ke lama-primary elections atawondeka lebo 26 August 2023 phela koshi. Bese ke lokulandzelako sengama-secondary elections lapho khona wona atawuthatha lebo 29 September 2023. Ngiyahleka yini mfana babe ngoba lamkhathiseni kwama-primary nalama-secondary kutabe kune-campaign process. Lokusho ukuthi umuntu ufuneka atitshengise ukuthi wakhiwe ngani. Sitawufa amakabishi nani. Okulandzela mina ngiyabonga sisi.
Lo mlayeto nolethelwa abaka-EBC Elections and Boundaries Commission of Eswatini.
Welcome back. sibuketa ngaphandle kwakuleli. Anger was growing Saturday over the official response to an inferno that leveled a Hawaiian town, killing at least 93 people in the deadliest wildfire in the United States for over 100 years.
This is my house right now. This is my house, okay?
Everything Vilma Reed has fits into the trunk of a car. The Lahaina resident and her family escaped the wildfire at the last moment. She and others say they had no warning of the flames bearing down on their homes.
I was paying attention on my phone to the news, okay? Oh, it's so many hundreds of miles south. We're going to have some strong winds. It's going to play havoc with our trade winds. Nothing to worry about, okay?
So basically, yeah, we got our pop-up tents here. A lot of people were not prepared, you know, that by the time they find out that it was time to go, it was almost too late. You know, a lot of people got trapped, and it's just really sad.
Anger is growing over the official response to the disaster. The governor says an investigation will determine if more could have been done to protect residents. But he says the nature of the fire made tackling it extremely difficult.
We have doubts that much could have been done with a fiery, fast-moving fire like that.
That's no comfort to those grieving lost loved ones or still searching for missing relatives, but they are finding comfort at disaster relief centres where help is coming in from across Hawaii.
The outpouring of donations is like that tent is constantly sorting clothes and all kinds of necessities, and it seems like we're all sticking together as Maui Ohana.
I've been depressed. Yesterday was a bad day. Coming down here made it a better day.
The donations keep pouring in. A community coming together for people who lost everything in the worst natural disaster in Hawaii's history.
With only a few months left before India's general elections, tensions have been rising between the nation's Hindu majority and its Muslim minority.
Nuh, a lively town 90 kilometers south of New Delhi till 2 weeks ago, has now turned into a ghost town. It was here that during a religious procession organized by Hindu extremist groups, clashes with Muslims started. In response, the state government, ruled by the Hindu Nationalist Party, the BJP, cracked down on Muslims for the riot.
The house was totally destroyed by 3 bulldozers. Over there, the damage is even worse.
Kursida's home is among the 300 houses belonging to Muslims which have been razed to the ground as a punishment by the authorities.
They accused us of throwing stones at the rally. How can we throw stones from here? Even bullets won't reach. The temple is around 1 to 2 kilometers from here. The Hindu extremist group Bajrang Dal vandalized the place and attacked us.
One of the villages in the line of fire was Paledi. Here we only see women and children, as almost all the men have left out of fear or being detained by police, according to the villagers.
I haven't seen my son for 9 days. He wasn't involved in the confrontation. He was sleeping and the police came and arrested him. Yes, it's persecution. What else? I pray for Hindus and Muslims to live in peace.
In New Delhi, we meet this group of men from Bajrang Dal, a BJP-affiliated far-right group who participated in the procession in Nuh. For them, Muslims are a direct threat to Hindus.
Despite being a majority, we are the ones who are being oppressed. We are not allowed to have religious processions whenever we want. Without force or fear, they won't stay in their lane. Otherwise, they start pelting stones or persecute Hindus through political propaganda.
Since the beginning of August, communal clashes have left at least 6 dead and nearly 100 injured in Haryana.
In Ecuador, funeral arrangements are being made for a presidential candidate who was assassinated. Fernando was shot and killed after a campaign rally on Wednesday.
They came to pay tribute to the man they wanted to become president. A day after Fernando Villavicencio was assassinated on his way out of a campaign meeting, his supporters are still overcome with grief.
Ese hombre luchó y dio la vida por mejorar el país. Hoy lo callaron, pero esto no quedará así. Su legado sigue vivo.
Por eso es nuestra presencia aquí en este momento, a condenar este crimen
y a exigir que el Estado lleve las investigaciones en lo más alto.
It didn't take long for the state to react. Authorities arrested 6 Colombian nationals who they suspect of belonging to criminal organizations. Ecuador has seen a sharp rise in violence linked to drug trafficking in recent years. A former journalist, Fernando Villavicencio, had already received death threats. He'd made the fight against corruption and criminal gangs the centerpiece of his electoral program. Ecuador's president, Guillermo Lasso, has asked the FBI to help with the investigation and has declared a state of emergency. Despite the killing, he's decided not to postpone the election.
Que ante la pérdida de un demócrata y un luchador, las elecciones no se suspenden. Al contrario, estas se tienen que realizar y la democracia se tiene que fortalecer.
The first round of the presidential election will take place in just over a week's time, on August 20th.
A Georgia prosecutor appears ready to lay her case against former President Donald Trump this week. Despite tight security, some officials are concerned that violence could accompany a potential fourth indictment of Trump over election interference.
Security measures are tight in Georgia's Fulton County ahead of a possible fourth indictment of former President Donald Trump. It is expected that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis will present her case to a grand jury this week. She has been investigating whether Trump pressured state officials to alter the 2020 presidential election result and plot to use fake electors. The former president calls the Georgia probe a witch hunt. Top voting official Gabriel Sterling, who helped with the 2020 presidential election recount in the state, could be called to testify in the case. He appeared on ABC's This Week show.
We counted the ballots 3 times. He lost this state, and he continued to say he didn't lose it, and it's just creating a lot of tension and a lot of chaos.
Sterling was asked if Trump's strong public criticism of District Attorney Willis could lead to some kind of violence.
It's not going to be a bunch of conspirators together. It's going to be one probably mentally unstable individual who's going to be radicalized through this process.
If the former president is indeed indicted in Georgia, voters will need to carefully assess his 2024 presidential bid, said Republican presidential candidate Chris Christie on ABC.
And what I think Republican voters have to ask themselves is 2 things. First, is he really the guy under indictment in 4 different cases, given the conduct that he committed, someone who can beat Joe Biden or any other Democrat in November 2024?
President Joe Biden is himself under investigation for allegedly mishandling classified documents. A special counsel was appointed last week to more independently investigate the president's son, Hunter Biden, on his foreign business dealings. Democratic Representative Jamie Raskin commented on the case on ABC.
We all seem clear that this guy was addicted to drugs and did a lot of really unlawful and wrong things. And we have said, let the justice system run its course.
After Hunter Biden's recent guilty plea agreement for tax evasion and illegal gun possession unraveled, the prospects of his case heading now to trial are much higher.
Many American states permit cameras to televise courtroom proceedings, but federal courts do not. Some U.S. lawmakers are trying to change that rule for the expected federal trials of former President Donald Trump.
A televised trial of former U.S. President Donald Trump would likely draw massive interest. But since cameras are forbidden in federal courtrooms, only a few sketches now tell the story of his recent appearances in Washington and Miami. Changing the rules against televising proceedings would be a complex process.
The president's actions.
But several Democratic lawmakers and even Trump's lawyer, John Lauro, argue that cameras in court will improve transparency. In contrast, some, including the Wall Street Journal's editorial board, worry the presence of cameras could negatively impact trial proceedings. Former federal prosecutor Mark McDougal agrees.
I think it's really a question of the effect it has on the participants in the trial, the judges, the judge, the lawyers, the witnesses, and so forth.
Others argue that in America's highly polarized politics, where even basic facts are up for debate, a camera feed could be critical for accountability, says political analyst Calvin Dark.
If there are no cameras in the courtroom, what the judges are then contributing to is the possibility of misinformation or somebody who's in the courtroom misrepresenting or taking out of context what actually happened.
Trump will be a presidential candidate when he goes on trial. Political scientist Dean Lacey says it's hard to predict how the televised proceedings will affect his popularity.
He could rally his supporters and get a lot of free airtime in the middle of a primary. It could also be a big negative. He could end up incriminating himself. He could end up losing a reputation among independents, maybe among some of his core supporters.
Nearly all U.S. states allow cameras in their courtrooms. High-profile cases such as the trial of O.J. Simpson on murder charges or the murder conviction of Officer Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd were broadcast live. A new indictment of Donald Trump on election-related charges is expected later this week in Georgia, where cameras are permitted in courtrooms at the judge's discretion.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the release of Americans wrongfully detained in Iran from Evin prison to house arrest is a positive first step, but work remains to be done for them to be returned to the United States.
Iran confirmed Thursday that it had transferred 4 American prisoners to house arrest in exchange for billions of dollars frozen in South Korea. A 5th American woman is already under house arrest and was not identified. A human rights lawyer identified 3 of the prisoners as Siamak Namazi, Ahmad Sharji, and Morad Tabaz. He said they were moved from Tehran's infamous Evin prison to house arrest at an undisclosed hotel, where they will be held under guard by Iranian officials. The 4th prisoner was also not identified. At the State Department Thursday, Secretary of State Antony Blinken welcomed the deal.
This is a positive step, but I don't want to get ahead of its conclusion because there's more work to be done to actually bring them home. My belief is that this is the beginning of the end of their nightmare.
Blinken strongly rejected any suggestion that the deal would give leaders in Tehran any relief from U.S. national security sanctions.
In any event, in any respect, Iran will not be receiving any sanctions relief. And in any instance where we would engage in such efforts to bring Americans home from Iran, Iran's own funds would be used and transferred to restricted accounts such that the monies can only be used for humanitarian purposes, which, as you know, is permitted under our sanctions.
One expert praised the deal and said he is hopeful for his friend Siamak Namazi and the other U.S. citizens held in Iran.
I've known Siamak Namazi since the 1990s. He is not only a really decent person, but he is a person who has spent a tremendous amount of time trying to reduce tensions between the United States and Iran. And the fact that his reward for that was 8 years in Evin prison is just bitterly ironic. The fact that Siamak may soon be back with his family makes me absolutely delighted, as well as for all the other Americans who seem to be in the process of being released.
Another expert also welcomed the release of detained Americans, but said he is worried about the precedent the freeing of $6 billion of Iranian funds held in South Korea might have in the future.
The question is, what are the implications of a perception of paying for the release of Americans? We have Evan Gershkovich right now held hostage by Russia. I would say the price tag on Evan Gershkovich just went up today significantly. We have an espionage law that was just enacted by the Chinese with a State Department travel warning for those going to China that you could be taken hostage.
Goldberg referred to American journalist Gershkovich, who has spent more than 3 months in detention in Russia, held on espionage charges. The United States strongly denies the charges, saying he is being wrongfully detained and demanding his release.
An American woman and her daughter have been released 13 days after they were kidnapped in the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince. Gangs have kidnapped hundreds of people, mostly Haitians, since the 2021 assassination of President Jovenel Moïse.
A Christian relief organization in Haiti says that American nurse Alex Dorsenville and her daughter have been freed nearly 2 weeks after they were kidnapped in the capital, Port-au-Prince. The organization asked the media that the family not be contacted because they are healing from the situation. Dorsenville and her daughter had been abducted at gunpoint in front of a patient. Residents celebrated their release.
We will really believe it when we see her, as grandmother likes to say. I'm going to wait for her right here. I've been fasting, I haven't eaten anything, but I'm going to wait for her right here. Today the miss has been freed. We thank God for that.
Local school children had called for their release. The State Department also welcomed the release. It had closed the U.S. Embassy to the public this week due to gunfire in the area and the grave lack of security.
We welcome the reports of their release. We have no greater priority, of course, than the safety and security of U.S. citizens overseas.
Tensions escalated this week in Port-au-Prince as protesters, many wearing masks, set a government vehicle on fire and squared off against police. And others demanded aid and protection from violent gangs. The United Nations Refugee Agency said nearly 74,000 people fled Haiti last year because of surging gang violence and poverty. The UN also says 5.2 million people, nearly half Haiti's population, need urgent humanitarian assistance. One expert told VOA that there is a complete lack of authority and gangs have filled the vacuum.
The problem now is that it's basically paralyzed daily life, economic life, social life. Schools are no longer functioning. It's difficult to go to the market. And it just doesn't affect the capital city of Port-au-Prince. It actually affects much of the rest of the country.
The United Nations has been calling for member countries to send a multilateral police force to help Haiti's outgunned police. Kenya says it is considering sending some 1,000 police to Haiti. George Fariol of the Center for Strategic and International Studies welcomes the idea and says the United States will likely help with logistics.
In a practical sense, the Kenyans on their own can't get to Haiti. They need support. They need logistics, transport. And even once they're in Haiti, there's going to be a language issue. There's some practical questions in terms of what is the mode of operation that they will have. Is this sort of a static operation? Will they be moving out? What's the plan?
Experts say that despite the mixed success of past international interventions, Haitians are so desperate now that they would welcome nearly any form of protection from the violent gangs.
Japan is investing hundreds of billions of dollars in its defense program in response to China's growing militarization. But as Henry Ridgwell reports from Tokyo, the government is struggling to persuade some of Japan's best-known technological and industrial giants to produce more weapons.
They are among Japan's most famous global brands, more familiar as the makers of televisions, washing machines or cars. Less well known, even in Japan, is that they also make military equipment. Mitsubishi makes fighter jets and missiles for Japan's self-defense force. Electronics firm Toshiba makes military-grade batteries. Subaru military helicopters. Daikin, better known for its air conditioning units, has a side business producing munitions. Now the government wants Japan's industrial giants to ramp up production of military equipment. Tokyo is boosting defense spending by $315 billion over the next 4 years. It's a response to China's militarization and aggression in the East China Sea. But Japan's effort to boost its national defense industry is struggling, according to a recent Reuters report. A ban on exporting military equipment was only lifted in 2014. Very few Japanese defense companies sell overseas.
For the Japanese defense companies, the self-defense forces are the only buyer. So it's not so easy for those companies to make profits by making weapons. And because of that, several, particularly smaller companies, are now going away from those defense industries.
More than 100 Japanese companies have left the defense sector over the past 20 years.
Heavy reliance on foreign companies is not so good in terms of the supply chain resiliency. So the Japanese government decided to give subsidiary to those Japanese defense companies who are suffering. And by doing so, we are trying to maintain our indigenous defense build-up capabilities.
Japan, Italy and Britain are jointly developing a new fighter jet program. Meanwhile, Tokyo recently issued guidelines to harmonize equipment with US and European standards. The US alliance is the cornerstone of Japanese defense, and it's vital that Japan buys the right equipment, says Grant Newsham, a retired US Marine colonel and diplomat and former liaison to the Japan Self-Defense Force.
What hardware do you need? What resources do you need? What capabilities do you need to defend your country? What do you need to fit in with the Americans to make this a real joint effort? So I don't know that that thinking has been done.
For decades, most Japanese have opposed increased military spending. A recent poll shows slightly more than 40% of voters want to expand the self-defense forces, up from 29% 5 years ago. Reuters reported that Japan's industrial giants are likely wary of tarnishing their brand among consumers by expanding into military production.
Japan's government is trying to adapt to a rapidly changing security environment, but it must also convince the Japanese people that these profound changes are urgent and necessary.
Before COVID-19, Chinese investors turned Cambodia's seaside city of Sihanoukville into a gambling hotspot. Before, China's economy has been grappling with a slowdown, and now the buildings.
Local people in Sihanoukville call them ghost buildings, and there are hundreds abandoned by Chinese investors after the pandemic and a Cambodian crackdown on gambling, even online betting. Now many residents want the ruling Cambodian People's Party to bring the ghost buildings back to life. With Hun Manet taking over as Prime Minister from his father Hun Sen later this month, there is a sense of a new era arriving.
The governor is frustrated seeing those buildings everywhere. Moss grows on them. He announced those buildings are eyesores, marring the beauty of Sihanoukville.
I know many buildings are stuck without developers. I wish they would come back so we'd have jobs. Many of my workers are jobless.
Along Ochotil Beach, even Cambodian tourists object to the high-rise ghost casinos.
They should have finished them so that the city looks nice.
I wish they would come back to finish these high buildings, make them look clean. When they come back to invest, workers here will have jobs.
Provincial official Long Limong says there is a master plan with tax incentives to attract new investors to make up for the loss of gambling revenues in Sihanoukville.
When we crack down on online gambling, lots of buildings construction stop. Closing online gambling reduced a big part of the funding for investment.
But gambling brought more than money to Sihanoukville. Local people say it brought crime. They don't want it to return.
I requested the government consider not welcoming investment in casinos.
Many residents hope that if the new government revives the ghost, it will also tackle crime.
I trust in the ability of the new government with the existing government to help to clear the way so Cambodia and specifically Sihanoukville can enjoy peace and stability both politically and economically.
It's 25 minutes after 7. We've come to the end of our international news. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly.
Lesi sikhathi lapho khona emaphoyisa agubha kuba khona kwawo eveni. Kulapho kukuthathwa khona sive ukuthi sike sihlale phansi sibuke bumcoka bemaphoyisa empilweni yabantu. Siphindze sibuke indlela letinsha tekuphepha kubo bonke bucala lobuveta sihloko. Sive sakangwane siyakhunjutwa ukuthi singawafaki emaphoyisa etinkulumeni tepolitiki ngoba liphoyisa alingeni futhi alingenelani nepolitiki. Emaphoyisa alwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco kuphela nje. Ingako emaphoyisa athi wonke umuntu eveni akahlale ngaphandle kwekunceneka ukuthi angahle ahlaselwe tilwane tasendle. Umuntu lohlala Eswatini akatiphilele atisebentele ngaphandle kwekwesaba kuhlaselwa kwemucwa nekucekelwa phansi kwempahla yakhe. Nawe wena lophathekile emaphoyisa athi digulele kahle uze uphile ngaphandle kwekuphatamiseka. Lokungenteka ngekuthi tidlova tingene tihlasele labo labakunakekelako kuleyo ndlu. Sive lesihlakaniphile nguleso lesiphakamisa kusebenta kwemaphoyisa nabo bonke labalwa nebucala. Ngale kwaloko timbungushe tiyawuwangenela emazinyane kungenamuntu ekhaya. Lo mlayeto niulethelwa ngemaphoyisa embube abambisene nomsakato wetithombe.
Nje imizuzu lemithathu kugabanca insimbi yesikhombisa lomhla ekuseni ake sithole umbiko ukuthi basebenza kanjani ngemaphoyisa embubene sive kule mphela sonto. Sijoyinwa ke nguNosipho Mnguni lisekela lokuxhumanisa wona emaphoyisa embube nesive elucingweni. Sikuvusele Mnguni, engabe uthini umbiko losiphathele wona?
Siyangivusela kakhulu kubo babukeli beEswatini TV. Sibuya kuyo imphela sonto. Siyathanda nje kubonga ukuthi eMaswati akusiwo lebe kade iphathe kabi, azamile impela ukuthi iphatha kahle. Nokho sibenabo tikiti sibenado igigaba lapha kugcina kumbe sesishiya ngomphefumulo. Lekuyinto lekungasijabulisi neze ngoba onke malanga sihlale sithandazela ukuthi asihlalisane phela ngekuphepha nangekuphilisana njeke eveni. Bese kubonile kwenteka njeke sibe netingoti temgwaco letimbili letintathu kahle lapho khona kunabantu bonke laba bantu bashayiswe imoto bahamba emgwaqweni. Lese kungumkhuba ke lesiubona ungathi uyanza. Sithanda nje kusho kulaba abasebenza umgwaqo kungabe uyashayela noma ke uhamba phansi ngezinyawo ukuthi phela cikelela kakhulu nje ubuke ukuthi engabe kuhamba kakho kuphephile. Sibonile nje ke ngalesihlanu umbala lo neminyaka lengu-12 wakahlobile kumathapha ashayiswa imoto emgwaqweni wakhona ephocweni wagcineka aphuthunyiswe khona esibhedlela esikhulu kaManzi nese-RFM lapho khona aselashwa. Saphinde sabona lapho endaweni yakumbeka eMangayane bantu lababili make lo neminyaka lengu-28 nemntwana lo neminyaka lengu-4 nabo ke laba bashayiswe imoto khona basahamba khona emgwaqweni ngaserenkini nabo baphuthunyiswa khona esibhedlela saseMangayane lapho khona nabo baselashwa. Itolo ke sibe sisibanayo lenye futhi ingoti lapho indoda yasenkoyoyo ishayiswe imoto izama kwewela umgwaqo. Lena indoda ke kuthiwa ngathi beyijake kuyogibela ikhumbi kulolo linye ihlangothi lemgwaqo lase ingena budedengu lakhathi emgwaqweni wase kushayiswa imoto. Naye sikhuluma nje uselashwa esibhedlela lesikhulu saseMbabane. Etikikameni lapho silahlekelwe umphefumulo endaweni yakaManzini ngemgcibelo kunendoda eneminyaka lengu-31 yasendaweni yakakhoza leyashaywa ngileke lena 28 yakhona kakhoza. Lapho ke bayijijela ngesitini emva kokuthi bacabane base sebayayishaya lena leneminyaka lengu-31 yagcineke seyisishiya emhlabeni lapho khona sithi nayiphuthunyiswe esibhedlela kwathiwa vele ayisekho. Endaweni ke yasehlathi khulu kudebedebe khona ke kulinyetwe indoda lena eminyaka lengu-27 lapho khona ishaywe bafana nje lesicuku sebafana eceleni kwakhona ekhabola umfana lo bese uyasishiya. Asathi ke kwanyalo ukuthi ingabe yini bekuyini imbangela yokuthi bagcine bamlimata ngale ndlela lena kodwa ke amaphoyisa asetikwayo lenzaba le kunamhlanje sigade ukuthi laba bafana bafike emaphoyiseni akhona kahlathi khulu ngekuthi bayatiwa endaweni ngakho-ke amaphoyisa ayile ayofuna nasemakhaya kibo batali babo bathembisa ukuthi batasibambisa kakhulu bekunamhlanje isikhathi ukuthi batabaletha estation semaphoyisa ukuthi batochaza ukuthi engabe kwendekeni ngekugcina-ke lesibenayo ibethe endaweni yasehluthi lapho khona indoda leneminyaka lengu-43 igwaziwe enthanyeni ngesilimato lesingasadi yagwazwa indoda lesingayadi singamaphoyisa-ke nakulena ndzaba sisayisebenza nje kakhulu sethemba ukuthi futhi emalanga angabi mangakhi sizabe sesimtholile lona logilelo mkhuba atobuye atotiphendvulela ukuthi engabe uhambe ubeka ugilelani lo mkhuba lona abhekane nadoda inkantolo sicela nje kubonga ukuthi sibonile i-weekend lebeyiphose ithulathulile ngoba kude abantu lesibenabo kumbe lababoshelwe ukuthi bebanathe bashayele banathe loko lokuzakusako siyacela kakhulu nje Stephen ukuthi phela asiphepheni sisaphila sisahambe ezindaweni tekujabula sisaye emasonfeni sisaya lapho kumbe kunemicimbi khona nasemgwaqweni-ke kakhulu siyacela nje ukucikelela ukuthi phela abantu awuthi ushayele imoto yakho ushayela lolo ishayelako ushayele lesembi kwakho ushayele nalesemva kwakho phinde unake bona laba labahamba phasi ngetinyawo ukuthi sitawukhona kuphepha.
Sibonga kakhulu nguni isikhathi sakho nomhlakuseni sibonga nalowo mbiko lo sipha wona seba ukuthi-ke ndawo sebenza kahle nalo mhla lisachubeka lilanga sibahlola ethi makethe masinyane masibuya sikhulumisa temidlalo nalinda Master Dlamini. Siphinze sikwamukele lihlelweni 32 minutes after 7 sibonga ukuthi solo uhleli nathi asikhulumise-ke tindzaba temidlalo with Linda Master Dlamini losavela sijoinile studio. Nkosi sikwamukele station lamuhla ngabe uvuka kanjani kule mpelasonto?
Ngiyabonga sifisa ukumukela ehlelweni lakho ngitithuba lokukhuluma uvuselele na umbukelo Eswatini TV loyal viewers ngumsombuluko kwahlala kugijima leli bhodo liyashisa.
Must impelasonto yakho ikile yaba busy solokuqala lo mnyaka kwendlula leli sisuka kuyo.
Awu lembela somva beklide kwendeke kuvuke ngabo half 3.
Okay. Ngibuthiswa ukuthi cishe nje kuningi lokwendekile temidlalo kakhulu ebholeni. Sicalela khaya sibonile Hospice at Home Charity Cup kusipha nje ukuthi uboneni.
Impela somvo sifisa njoba usho ukuthi ku ebholeni kakhulu kade bemabombo bekabheke khona enhlangano lapho khona bedlala iHospice at Home Charity Cup. iHospice at Home ke yasukumisa umcucelwano wemacembu lamane lapho khona ibese seyihlangana naletinye inkampani Tfaikhazi bo ibet Tfaikhazi umla sport ichubekile kulembela somvo lapho khona emidlalweni wokuqala licembu leMbabane Solos bedlala neMonon Pirates yanqoba iMbabane Solos ngamagoli amabili kulinye wasiyalandzela kumdlalo wesibili Nsingizini North Spurs yadlala na Manzini Wanderers yanqoba Nsingizini North Spurs nga 3-1 lebese kwendaka ukuthi kumancamo kutholane iMbabane Swallows itholane nayo Nsingizini North Spurs. Nsingizini North Spurs kusekhaya kubo le bajimela kulo le ground ikanvele nje eshiselo yonke idlaliwe lo mdlalo udlaliwe lo mdlalo ngicabanga ukuthi kunakule sekubonile evikini leliphelile sifiso kuBible Cup nanakele ngikubonaka kulamacembu kuHospice at Home ngicabanga ukuthi lo mehluko leliviki ube mkhulu kakhulu. Remember ukuthi yona these two teams bekangekho kuBible Cup Nsingizini no Spurs nayo eMbabane Solos. Mbabane Solos beyiye eSouth Africa.
Ngisukuhlaba lwimi kepha kuBible Cup wakhala ngeke ukuthi ababukeki bangilaba ready.
Lama teams yes labekadlala yes and kulama games ekuqala Monon Pirates naye Manzini Wanderers ngicabanga ukuthi nakhona kancane kuyabonakala but kulawa iMbabane Solos yona nayo iNsingizini North Spurs with iMbabane Solos their goalkeeper Qiniso wadlala umdlalo omhle kakhulu ngicabanga ukuthi uyaprove ukuthi so ready nyalo khumbula ukuthi sonesikhashanyana athlete kuMbabane Solos about 2 to 3 years solo I reserve goalkeeper and nala khatse groundini players like bona bo Leon Manyisa la khathi midfield ngicabanga ukuthi sizwe lwethu wadlala kahle kakhulu washaya 2 goals against Monen Pirates na final bakadlala naSandile lapha phambili Sandile Hlatshwayo wadlala kahle kakhulu ngicabanga ukuthi iCaleb kancane uyakhombisa lokuthi le team ufuna iEPS wabese bayengenela bona bo Felix ngiyabona bese bagathe ukuthi bashaya ama penalty unfortunately wayigeja yona ipenalty ngala ku Nsingize North Spurs nakhona uyabona ukuthi cishe le team yena Mek Mwase uqale nayo ku pre-season kancane le philosophy yakhe iya instileka lama 1-2s the passing game lesimati ukuthi Mek Mwase uyayidlala siyibonile lapha and kunenvoke leshintshile lengiyibonile ku yona Nsingize North Spurs striker sabo yena Shaka uyakhona ukuholda iplay akhone kuthena ashaye ngicabanga ukuthi invo leyo le khona kwendiwa kahle ngusikhali cishe ngibonile mina ukuthi if atachubeka abe nama games lamanengi utawukhona ukuthi ahluphe ema teams lamanengi kakhulu wakora against yona iManzini Wanderers and ngicabanga ukuthi this season he's ready ukuthi alide yona Nsingize North Spurs top 4
uyayibona vele Nsingize North Spurs ingena lapha icracker le top 4
kulukhuni Sifiso kulukhuni utawusinga ukuthi the players because kuze ungene ku top 4 kudzinga ukuthi week in week out ebadlali bakho bahlale baku lokungenani bakunikete 60% bantu abakhona abadlali abatakuniketa 80% uthola ukuthi every after 3 weeks ukunika 80% kuyakuboosta lokho kodwa lalabanye kutabadzinga ukuthi bakubeke 60% goalkeeper wabo Paraba very good young goalkeeper elengicabanga ukuthi une good coaching kuye Njabuliso wakasimelane naye kutawudzinga ukuthi this season igame yakhe ikwenyuka kancane last season wayiwina iplayer kwaba nguyi-play of the season kuNsingize North Spurs so this season tawudzinga ukuthi that defense ayicommande kakhulu ngayibona ukuthi yes iyangakhona ngekuhlangana kodwa nayithole lo move lo khona kokwenda lamaranzi ativulele tikhala isenawo lawo ma-cracks lamancane so tawudzinga ukuthi ayicommande yena kakhulu then going forward nasibaya phambili cishe lokubonana bayabonana sekudzinga nje ukuthi vele babe consistent la kushayina amagoli
but ahead of ukuthi kucala isizini warate kanjani lama team lamabili Swallows neNsingize nje kutheni are they ready ngoba phela it's been your sentiment ekutheni these teams akhombisi kahle manje ukuthi sekalungele
yes so I think kancane njengoba ngisho ukuthi Nsingize North Spurs iyangakhona excuse me sekushoda kancane mbona Swallows nakhona sekushoda nje ukuthi polish lapha uyababona ukuthi bawadlalile lama games lamanengi outside the country cishe kuyabonakala but I'm worried ukuthi nakangekho Felix because ku final nje wayicela ngaphandle ngibani lo taba i-reliable scorer yabo ku Felix if bangakhona ukuthi balungise lokho then ngisho ukuthi ba ready
hopefully batakulungisa asichubeke siye ku MTN 8 Mamelodi Sundowns versus a red carded Swallows Orlando Pirates just ravaging Sekhukhune United 5-0 Kaizer Chiefs Cape Town City I think Kaizer Chiefs fans abenayo kuyiseka lithemba ngoba becishe ngathi bebakhala kakhulu manje ayibonakala i-team lebonakala ukuthi itawudlala kahle lonyaka
yes so i-MTN 8 nawo ibuka ngendlela lehambe ngayo kule weekend kwaqala yona iMamelodi Sundowns idlala nayo iMorocco Swallows kule game lena Sifiso I've been saying this ukuthi iSundowns akusiyo na iSundowns leyashiwa ngipitso akusiyo na iSundowns laqale ngayo mancoba mncithi la season osiyingenela yena Rulani na ubuka ukuthi igame yeMorocco Swallows Andile Jali wathola ku first 15 minutes bese kune red card kodwa ligoli baze balishaya early second half
7 minutes le red card
7 minutes to be precise second half early in the game Thembers one walithola igoli but kude lelinye igoli eliphinze langena uyabona ukuthi what if baneng labo what if ukuthi if iMorocco Swallows bengakayitholi le red card bekutakwendeka ini. Uyakhumbula ukuthi yona iMorocco Swallows icoachwa nguye Steve Kompela labeka kuMamelodi Sundowns kusizini ledlulile, so uyayati le team, uyayati ukuthi idlala kanjani. Ngicabanga ukuthi yena Andile Charlie waba careless kakhulu kule play yakhe ukuthi liyalida ukuthi agcine athole yona i-red card kule game le, njengoba ngisho ukuthi asati ukuthi bekutawendekani ukuthi yona iMorocco Swallows nayo ingayitholanga le red card, and nale position la idlalako yena Andile Charlie ikhi kakhulu egemini udlala eMidfield, so wathola i-red card. Idzinga ukuthi coach ashintshe onke ama-tactics akhe lokwenta ukuthi vele kuphatamise ne-game plan, but iyaselandzela ke yona i-Orlando Pirates the following day Nzambama against Sekhukhune United. I-Orlando Pirates a massacre nangasho kanjalo. I-Orlando Pirates asha 5 amagoli le pasa uthole i-hat-trick ekuqala ngqa ku-Orlando Pirates. Ngicabanga ukuthi naye is proving every day ukuthi so ready kuthwala yona i-Orlando Pirates. Uyakhumbula ukuthi naku-national team part of i-setup yakhona wadlala kahle kakhulu against Morocco. Ngicabanga ukuthi udlalile ama-players la njengabo Ndlondlo kule game lena ngimbonile very good player yena Ndlondlo. Ngicabanga ukuthi Orlando Pirates this season bafuna kuba they are a team to beat nangayibeka kanjalo this season yona i-Orlando Pirates. Sekhukhune United ngicabanga ukuthi bekungakameli based on kugame yabo yeqala ku league against Mamelodi Sundowns versus le Orlando Pirates. Ngicabanga ukuthi bese lumehluko kuba mkhulu kakhulu man.
But Master, quite notable, Sekhukhune United had a better position and more passes than Orlando Pirates. The Pirates lebenako lana ngilama shots on targets and shots at goal.
Sfiso, the most important stats ebholeni nasa scoreline.
I know. I'm just highlighting. We cannot then neglect, because the way they played versus Sundowns. I think nami ngak highlight and schoolman of Fabrice on Friday. Good see. Ungayikhohlwa Sekhukhune ukuthi idlale kahle against Sundowns. So coming in nawubuka nje le bhola sithi uyawakhohlwa lamagoli. Lamgcwaka nako konke. Le bhola they played good football.
Yeah. So my philosophy Sfiso, as much as ungayidlala ibhola mine ngicwanga legoli. That's why nabadlali uyayithola ukuthi badlali labashaya amagoli labanye kuthiwa hayi ingomo washaya igoli kimi ucedzile. Ngicabanga ukuthi Sfiso i-Orlando Pirates kule game le izamile kuyipressa kakhulu yona iSekhukhune. Bebazama lokuyidlala le bhola but beba quick kakhulu yona i-Orlando Pirates, more especially transition. Bebathi nabayiwina le bhola uthola ukuthi i-pace nge-pace bayabashaya 1-2-3 passes i-goal, 1-2-3 passes i-goal. Nalama mistakes ke la ku defense, because emagoli akhe nje yena le pasa kube ama mistakes ku defense yayo iSekhukhune.
Ngiyathubuta lo ukuthi if your philosophy kul goal Master ngabe kokuthosa kanganani as a Kaizer Chiefs fan ngoba ni Cape Town City ikora lecala ligoli on the 23rd minute. No sengiyabekisa. No sengiyabekisa. Kubekisa on the 23rd minute when Cape Town City ikora ligoli lecala against yona Kaizer Chiefs, which only managed to score on the 36th minute.
Swiss ngicabanga ukuthi Cape Town City nayo i-Kaizer Chiefs kule game le I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed nga coach Eric Tinkler. He's been with the team yona i-Cape Town City, and the way le dlale ngayo against Kaizer Chiefs no kule ndlela lengimati ngayo Eric Tinkler le performance lena beyingakadzingeke against i-Kaizer Chiefs iyadicegela. And kule game lena ngicabanga ukuthi ngibeba sengiyabuka from i-defense, ngibuka from i-midfield, ngibuka from ma-forwards, baba sengibuka umdlali lengathi noma i-position lengathi ingcono Kaizer Chiefs at the moment. It's ngilo number 17 logcina akorel goal lekuwina le Chiefs lengimbona ngathi cishe ngumdlali lofunako ukudlala ku-Kaizer Chiefs at the moment. Otherwise kubi nyalo bayodlala neMamelodi Sundowns, because after igame ye-SuperSport United neStellenbosch nayo legcine iya extra time yagcina iwinile yona Stellenbosch ibese seyendiwa i-draw advancene ke lamacembu Stellenbosch versus Orlando Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs versus Mamelodi Sundowns.
Engakusho nje ngithi I'm very sorry for Stellenbosch. Asiqhubeke master sekulesikhathi esincane kakhulu. English Premier League, we started off the weekend ngegame lebeyimcwa kakhulu Manchester City, Erling Haaland displaying a dominance. Egame yokuqala silitaba khona ilanga whereby bantu batabekela kumdawutha lo mfana. But he's just a finisher, but he's not just a finisher.
No, he's a finisher.
He's not just a finisher.
He's a finisher.
Let's be honest, we saw that second goal.
Yeah, he's a finisher. He's a finisher. So Sifiso, that's why Pep Guardiola during half time wahamba wabahash wabonakala ngathi uyomthethisa yena Haaland because abemfuna abe involved kule before the second goal lalishaya ina Erling Haaland abe waba na only 2 touches the whole game. So ngicabanga ukuthi Pep Guardiola ufuna badlali bakhe babe involved egaming. Angabe nje ukuthi lo muntu ummela ukuthi le ball. That second goal nje indlela Pep Guardiola lapfuna yena Erling Haaland adlale ngayo abe involved la gaming angene
He shouldn't just be a finisher.
Exactly. Ayibambe le bhola aphase bese sovula lesikhala. Ngicabanga ukuthi indlela ke Pep Guardiola la funa kudlala ngayo. But ngibe impressed ngendlela iBurnley yakhe company ledlale ngayo as much as ikhale pass emagoli amathathu but bobona idirection kuye iBurnley kuye Vincent Kompany ne team yakhe. Ngicabanga ukuthi ema teams lamaningi kakhulu eTurf Moor khona ku stadium sayo iBurnley strugglisha kakhulu Sifiso going forward kunemfana wase South Africa Foster very good forward logichimako wathola 2 chances first half. Unfortunately Edison goalkeeper Manchester City abe top of his game.
I think ngleyo lento lekwenta ukuthi ufune kuba ne compliments lo mixa khona ngale kuphela, otherwise there's nothing to be impressed about lapha. Nasibuka nje the overall stat.
Nawudlala ne City Sifiso, nawudlala ne City. Nawudlala ne City. Le City ya Pep Guardiola lena Sifiso.
Maybe 1-0 score.
The team ya Pep Guardiola lena Sifiso. Any team ku league igaze kushayo. But
Sikunetilwane bo Arsenal sibonile community shield kwente again, but asiqhubeke Arsenal. I don't want us to have a back and forth. 3-0, there's nothing to be impressed about, master.
No, ngithathe ama positives because they are new ku league.
Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. Saka, watch it is played by this young man. Tell me about this game. I know because you're an Arsenal fan. You're very happy, you and many other people.
So game ye Nottingham Forest in Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest bekuyigame yokuqala lamanye ema signings ayo Arsenal adlala league but this young man Bukayo Saka a star boy weekend kugaze lokusifiso week in week out sidabe sikhuluma Bukayo Saka that goal and ngibonela omunye ngibone Rio Ferdinand akhuluma ukuthi Mohamed Salah kulomnyaka la ku beka ku la ku Bukayo Saka bekangakwendi lokho then uyakakhombisa ukuthi ugood kanganani Bukayo Saka and singamkhohlwa ke naye Nketiah Eddie Nketiah naye nilgol lakhe naye ngiva ngathi laba lihle but lela Bukayo Saka laba lihle kakhulu iArsenal then second half sebazama na kucitha igame unfortunately yona iNottingham Forest yasiyakora goal kwaba 2-1 but overall ngiimpressed ngeperformance yayo iArsenal. Declan Rice Timber Ben White Saliba ngicabanga ukuthi ngiimpressed kakhulu ngendlela ledlala ngayo.
But it's like saying it's too early to really project the future of the whole English Premier League, especially looking at how Arsenal played last season. But I'm saying just based on these 2 games that I saw, the league, now outside of the league, Arsenal is the team to beat.
But
Manchester City, obviously.
Manchester City, Arsenal, Newcastle is faced. Newcastle, then kunawala dlale itolo. Between Chelsea, impressed ngendlela Chelsea. Yes, about 7 of my players.
Chelsea, but just briefly, I'm going to Newcastle. Briefly, Newcastle, we cannot ignore 5 goals.
So I would say in Newcastle, kunemdlalo wami Isaac.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Beautiful brace.
beautiful play.
Yeah.
Nawukhuluma pace uyayithola ku-Isak, ukhuluma ngekora, is a finisher, and is more than a finisher, this guy, this young man.
Yeah.
Yena Alex Randa Isak, ngicabanga ukuthi kule game le uprovile ukuthi udlale kanganani, then kuyakhombisa ukuthi yena Eddie Howe, coach wayo iNewcastle, uyakhe kanganani le team yayo iNewcastle United. Last season bani bacabanga ukuthi fluke, ukuthi yona iNewcastle ingangena Champions League, but this season if batawuchubeka bende kanje batawungena noma kanjani ku Champions League.
We saw Chelsea versus Liverpool. Obviously, with the formation here Chelsea, a lot of questions from Chelsea fans and the way they placed Reece in the middle. There was a question again there, but that boy Jackson, I think is the player to look out for. His composure, the decisions that he makes, some of the passes composure. Is Chelsea finally picking up to be one of the teams to beat?
Chelsea itaba ne-advantage this season. Ayikho ku Champions League, ayikho ku Europa. So bona batawufocusa ku league na ku FA Cup kuphela. But ke sifiso ngicabanga ukuthi iChelsea bamsayinile Caicedo ku Brighton 150 million pounds. Ngicabanga ukuthi le midfield yeChelsea utafike angene inyalo akhaceke kuna Enzo Fernandez lo dlalela itolo, ngicabanga ukuthi udlale kahle kakhulu yena Enzo Fernandez World Cup winner with Argentina, but ngibe worried nangibuka yena Gallagher, Connie Gallagher, ngimbona adlala ku deeper role, ngicabanga ukuthi kusamele ukuthi lokhu kufika Caicedo, then nakunaye kuna Enzo, kuna Caicedo, then kuna Gallagher. I think iChelsea tabalikhulu kakhulu ukuthi bayishaye, and you still have Boris James ngale eceleni. So ngicabanga ukuthi nawubuka nje even nalelog Sifiso, yes Newcastle United ngala magoli washayile iya deserve ukuthi ihlale lapha etulo. Brighton again this season nabo ubagathe ukuthi batawungena ku NA European competition. Manchester City ngicabanga ukuthi loku sisawukhuluma ngako isizini yonke, but nawubuka ema teams la njenge iLiverpool itolo in position 11 idrawile Chelsea, but nakhona kunema positives longawathatha kuyo iyona ungenile West Ham United Sifiso ngibukele le game Paqueta kule game lena udlalile, and ngaphandle kwalama links lamlink akhona ku Manchester City udlalile kakhulu kule game le. Then Manchester United iyadlala namhla idlala neWolves namhla ebusuku.
It's given 75% winning probability. iWolves bayiniketa 9% kuphela. Ikhoboseka kangako?
Ayikhoboseki Sifiso, it's the way iManchester United legcithe ngayo isizini last season, ileague last season, and nalama signings lewentile this season. Ukhuluma ngabo Onana, goalkeeper lo luqhamuka khona Inter Milan, cishe ukhuluma ngabo badlali abahambile bo Fred, lengicabanga ukuthi bazama kona lokucleana la khathi ku midfield naMaguire ngenteka iWest Ham United unveil officially. So ngicabanga ukuthi vele nawubuka le ndlela lidlala ngayo iManchester United nayo iWolves, vele ungayinika iManchester United, and ngale ku Wolves uyakhumbula ukuthi kunebadlali abahambile, Ruben Neves uhambile uye Saudi Arabia. So ngicabanga ukuthi le midfield yayo iWolves angeke ize ifanane na last season.
Asambe ku La Liga master angigcina kakhulu ama games La Liga. I'm not even going to lie to you. Mangwabukela bengicazisa kakhulu, except for the Real Madrid games. The only game that I felt like okay, Skatsama ngisimoshilana. Rodrigo scoring on the 28th minute, Bellingham scoring on the 36th minute to secure a 2-0 win. Yeah.
Jude Bellingham. This young man, lo mfana lo mdlali lo Sifiso, sorry. Lo mdlali lo ngicabanga ukuthi i-future yakhe i-bright. Bekuyigame yakhe ekuqala khona ku Real Madrid nabadlala nayo i-Athletic Club lapho khona bawinile. Ngicabanga ukuthi le midfield yayo i-Real Madrid sorry on Saturday ikhombisile ukuthi likusasa le-Real Madrid linganani. Nawubuka ukuthi Jude Bellingham, nawubuka ukuthi Tchouameni, nawubuka ukuthi Camavinga i-bright kakhulu but sitawubona ukuthi this season kunaku lokwendekile last season because iBarcelona last season ifike yasese ibangetulu kwabo, kodwa iBarcelona yona idlalile yahluleka kuwina kuGetafe. Lengicabanga ukuthi leyo inqumbi yebamvu babathi is a win for Barcelona but kwangendeki lokho. At the moment yona i-Real Madrid ihlele esicongweni sayo iLa Liga ilandzelwa bo-Osasuna. Ngicabanga ukuthi if i-Real Madrid yena Carlo Ancelotti because isizini yakhe igcina le ku-Madrid nakuphela i-contract yakhe uyoqeqesha yona i-Brazil. If i-Real Madrid ingachubeka idlale kanje but they still need that number 9, traditional number 9. I know ukuthi batabo bodlalisa bo Rodrigo laceleni kudlale bo Vinicius Junior but bamdzinga traditional number 9 kuze batakompete neBarcelona. iBarcelona ikhona Robert Lewandowski lapho khona kutasina kulukhuni khona abanikela amagoli, so nayo i-Real Madrid ngale iyamdzinga umdlalo kanjalo.
And it was supposed to be an easy win for Barcelona. Nasikhuluma liqiniso, just master sikubeka ngaphandle philosophy yakho ukuthi kufuneka ligoli. Yes, it was 0-0. But we can still analyze the game based on Lopez Bonile. We saw Barcelona dominating with regards to possession, shots on
dominate.
Master, it's analyze.
Yes, sengishona ukuthi sifiso i-masters lesinye isikhathi angakulutha.
You did mention ukuthi nangabe iMadrid ifuna ukukhompetha kahle neBarcelona going forward, meaning that uyabona lo ukuthi Barcelona Barcelona yeah kubalukhuni kakhulu. Now Women's World Cup, master, asiyeke La Liga sayibona next week ngoba Barcelona tabi winile. Spain beating Netherlands 2-1. Was that unexpected for you? Was that an expected result?
Belikhulu le game lena sifiso yagcina ukuthi igcine iye khona ku extra time but iNetherlands yalwa lana unfortunately yona Spain noma fortunately because bakhona abantu abasifevako yasese iyawina iqhubekela phambili nyalo sebadlala nayo iSweden they are the highest rank team kubomake emhlabeni bahleli lapha etulo sicongweni sebadlala naso Spain. Then ema-host i-Australia idlala nayo iFrance bolukhuni lomdlalo lo yagcina ayengama-penalties labaningi bebafavor yona ukuthi France ingawina le game late in the game ku-extra time iFrance yayithola il-goal but what's VAR akusilo ligoli. So ngicabanga ukuthi nyalo sekulukhuni isifiso njengoba ngisho ukuthi Spain versus yona iSweden
England asikhuluma ngana
England versus Australia. England isifiso nayo ikhombisa kuba matured England kule tournament lena kancane iyakhula, kodwa ngicabanga ukuthi le team yase Australia because bama host bona bane home ground advantage, the fans kule game
lena. Who are you rooting for to win the whole thing?
Sweden.
I'm rooting for England. We'll see. Sifike baphethelwe nehlelo lethu la muhla ngwelomhla sifike ukuthi solo uhleli nathi from myself Linda Masadlamini and the whole Kusile breakfast show crew. Sithi ubonele iviki loluhla usale kahle.
Libandla letela ukhefo nemingcele iEBC lathisa sive semaswati ukuthi mhla ka26 Ingci 2023 lilanga lelibekelwe sigaba selukhetho lekuqala. Kuleti gaba sive sitabe sikhetha labaqhuzelana kuba imvuna yenkundla noma kuba lilunga leParliament emiphakathini yabo. Tikhungo tekuvula titawuvulwa ngensimbi yesikhombisa kuthi made kube insimbi yesikhombisa Ntsambama. Sive siyacelwa ukuthi sikhumbule kuphatha bomatisi baso siphinde sigcine nesikhathi.
Livoti lami libalulekile futhi alithengiswa. Ngede ngasala nasakha live lethu.